Hello everybody, welcome back to Renovating the Chateau. My name's Leanne. I have just been outside to the farm. We're checking on Stella, our pregnant cow, who must not be very far now, but she's still not showing the final signs of calving yet. Julian is still away in England and unfortunately had the bad news while he was there the end of last week that his father passed away. Fortunately got to see him before he did. But it has shaken things up a little bit. We are not on the renovation of the dining room as we planned this week. So I'm going to take you into the chateau and I'm going to do something a little bit different for this vlog. We're going to look at some of the historical documents that I've found over the years in the attic. So come with me and let's have a look. So I'm going up into the attic now. In France they call this a grenier. And we're going to see what other boxes Julian brought down from the top of the attic a few months ago. So, the two boxes still in the attic. I'm going to start looking through these. Seems to be journals, more letters or records of things. The 18th of March 1834. Okay. No. Yes, this is what I was hoping. So this is Livre des dépenses. A book of expenses, commencé le 1er octobre 1829. So each household would have kept books of expenses. Now these are just double entry bookkeeping or entry bookkeeping. I'm going to have a look at this because I'm hoping, it's a shame that it doesn't actually have the place name, but I suppose when you're writing it yourself you know where you lived at that point. Charpentier, so that's a carpenter used. So yeah, we can only look through these, but these are what each household would have kept. Details of everything that they spent. So this could be interesting reading or it could just be a lot of nothing, but it's good to see that we have at least one of these. We may come across more. It would be lovely if one day I knew who some of these photos were, but oh, just look at that. That was taken in Pau. This man here, this lady here, this one you can hardly see, this gentleman and children. Outside a chateau, I have no idea if it's this chateau. To me, like a governess here with the children. This is something here. Must be really old, I can tell by the writing and the parchment paper as well. I've no idea what this is. I'm going to undo this. It's like lots of little booklets. In fact, oh, it's letters, look. It's letters. Oh wow, this, I don't know till I get some translation, but this reminds me of seeing men group their letters together when they're at war so they can put them in their pocket. Oh, let's unwrap this and have a look at this. Okay, so I had to put those down because I couldn't open it one-handed. So I thought this was old. Just this covering letter or note here says the 26th of February 1788. So let's have a look at what some of these are. These, I mean, you can tell. I just the paper now when I'm going through. I'm going to really. Oh wow! Wow! Look at that. Look at the wax. That is amazing. I am absolutely in awe. Try and keep these in order because this seemed to be important. Look at all the dirt falling off. Oh, this is just simply astounding. It says there, oh, citoyenne, which is citizen. Not sure they're letters. They're something, but I'm not sure what they are. I'm going to try and open one. Okay, so I'm looking through these and I can't translate all of it. But they're letters to a monsieur and they're nearly all addressed from what I can see that says monsieur. Signed off with the same name. I don't know, but you can see the dates here. This is a letter from 1797 and covering 1797, the 10th of September to the 16th of January. So that must be his news from that time. So why was the letter not written more regular during that time? Could it be because of war? Military action? I'm not sure. One fascinating aspect that I found a lot of, I think there's at least 20 of them, is these wedding invitations. And the earliest one I've found so far is 1840. And what it does is it obviously does a stand. What we've done for hundreds of years, I suppose, is parents invite you to the wedding of their daughter or their son. And then we have lots of them are at chateaus, and there's different connections then, so relations and friends of other chateau owners. This is from Marquise de Montredon. So that's going to be in Toulouse in 1842. And then we have this one is going to be Orignac, which is not too far from us. Castelnebert, that's 1855. So they obviously treasured these invites. This one, although it's one of the worst states, I think is important. It's the names. We have Monsieur Charles Lyon, who is the ancient captain, has the honour of asking to be part of his marriage with Mademoiselle Jean-Sylvie de Camp. Now, her name is cropping up in documents of the chateau. So whether she lived here and then moved with her new husband somewhere else, or did they then move here? I am not sure. Perhaps time will tell. One of the things that I absolutely love are these religious souvenirs that they've collected over the years, the family's collected and they've kept. They're simply absolutely beautiful. So this one is a spiritual calendar. And these, I don't know much about them, but there is a lot of them. Individual churches have their own. Individual saints have their own. So it could just be as simple as written on a piece of paper like that. But then some of them are really just simply beautiful. I mean, look at this one here. This one is hand painted. You won't be able to see it very closely. That is 1819. Day of God comes to the world in the form of an infant to illuminate our hearts, to light up our hearts of men and fire of love to live. Isn't that beautiful? The source is Paris there. It gives a street of where this is. And then you can see this is what I'm talking about. So they then often would turn it into a letter. They would visit a church or a religious place, pick up one of the souvenirs and then send it as a letter. It's the 1st of May 1898 to Philippe. The artwork is just beautiful. Wouldn't that make a lovely greetings card? One of the more exciting things for us as current Chateau owners is this document that we found. And this is a really old map of the old Chateau estate and all the parcels of land. And this is the Chateau here and its outbuildings. And then it shows the territory and all the continents de domaine de la Coutère. And this goes right the way into the next village district. Even now we own some land in Montbernard. Our village is Saint-Laurent, and then over the border there's a sort of like borderline here. We're very close to the next village. We own some of these parcels of land over here. So it's really interesting, and one of the things that it does have is has a key here of the fields. Not sure what that means. The vines and the marsh wastelands. And just look at how many vines were planted. All these here are all vines. That's hectares and hectares. Obviously, wine was very, very important back then, as it is now, but certainly to an estate. So these documents, these are 1721. I have just found these. Sorry for the light, it's dark now. I've been doing this all day. These were just stuffed just in exactly the same box there. But you can look at the difference in the writing. But 1723, 7th of July 1726. So there's 2 dates on that. Yeah. So these are going to be put in a plastic wallet, and these will go. I have a friend who are married. They live in our village. They're archaeologists. Some of the most famous archaeologists in France, actually. And they are really, really excited to try and help me translate some of these documents. So these are some of the ones that will be going to them. So we are now a day after I started this journey, and you can tell I've opened up quite a can of worms here. So I'm just going to show you a few things now. I have a feeling that towards the end of this journey, I'm going to have more questions than I have answers. But let's show you what some of the things I've found. So here we have what I can only describe as one of the old war magazines, war newspapers. It's called J'ai vu, and which means I have seen. And this is from 18th of June 1918. Towards the end of the First World War. Showing a map here showing what I believe is the German retreat. This is from slightly earlier. This is the 15th of June 1918. These images, a couple of them are quite graphic in terms of obviously showing loss of life. Carrying some kind of sacks of grain or something there. Plight to the refugees. The military with their bombs, loading the bombs. Again, an update on the war, how things are going in France. And then people who were prominent in the war. Profile here of Lieutenant Nungesser. So it must have been quite an important part for France. Controversial, but some of the toys of the age. War images from Reims. A little bit of light relief. They talk about the sport. And then back to the war. This is quite interesting. It says the English in the battle for Paris. English aviators talking with the bombardier at the front. Lunch taken at the front. The first German tanks taken by the French. And look at them. I think that will be all the French signing their names on the tank. So as when we had a newspaper dating almost exactly the start of the World War II, we also have this newspaper here, the Crier, Toulouse Crier, from Saturday the 30th of October 1918, and it is about the end of World War One. And there's the people out celebrating in the capital. The manifestation of the 17th of November, organised by the municipal. So basically it was organised by the municipality of Toulouse, the council of Toulouse probably, in celebration of the end of World War One. So this is one particular interesting newspaper that I found. This is actually 4 days after World War II was declared. So where's the date? There you go. Tuesday, the 5th of September 1939. And yeah, some interesting headlines on here. So the operations have started for land forces, sea forces and aerial forces. The English liner Athena is torpedoed, but in the most part passengers are saved. Furious fighting in Poland after the eviction of German eviction and terror and death. The Polish are obliged to recede after advances in Russia and Oriental something. Another thing I found really interesting here was whilst it will be in their power during the war, United States will remain neutral, declared President Roosevelt in a message to the American people. It's just absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to be looking at this in more detail, but also all the things about... We have records for World War One, all the newspapers for World War One, World War Two, obviously from the French perspective. So that will be interesting, trying to put those in chronological date order and finding out the progression of how things happened. Very interesting today, I think. There'll be a lot of parallels, I believe, of some of the things that are going on today. So, as a woman, these old magazines, are really interesting to me. This one is from the 1st of November 1881, and it's French fashion, mode parisienne. So female French fashion, illustrated journal for women. And I'm going to have a lot of pleasure over the years, I think, reading these. And that's amazing, of Little St. Thomas. Manteau et robe, so coats and dresses. It's just beautiful. And these, just think of these are all illustrations. They're not photos. The amount of time and detail that went into just one. And just look at how much, and these magazines were weekly. The effort. Now, I come from building up a magazine business from scratch. That's the business we sold to move to France. I know how much work goes into producing magazines, and we used to produce 5 of them monthly for 5 individual towns in our area. So, I mean, this is astounding. We used to obviously use photos, the computer to put it together, but this is all typed and drawn by hand. Don't forget the children, the fashion for children. Sometimes you come across just even older. This, I think, is from the 1700s. Fortunately, this is maybe even earlier than that. Just such intricate fashion. And then we come on to slightly later. This is 1912. I think I have about 40 of these magazines. They are, again, 1907. La Mode Illustrée. Family Journal. You just see the first, still mainly drawings for illustration, but the first photos being used in print in the last decade in this magazine. This is from the same age as the other one I showed you, the one where I don't have many pages. Just beautiful. Uh, 1892, supplement to the, these are stories. This one is 1910. And the family also kept, they were very, you can tell the fact that they kept all these, they were really into their high fashion. This is from the Grand Magasin de Louvre at Paris, so the shops of the Louvre in Paris, 1900. And this is their hat catalogue. So you have one side for the ladies, their hats and their bonnets, and then all the different occasions that you need them for. And then you have, for the men, for men and young men on the other side. You have your travel hats, your hats for chasse et pêche, so hunting and fishing. New for cyclists, and obviously the automobiles that are coming in at this time now. They're just beautiful. You've even got casquettes, caps for yachts and automobiles for your chauffeurs. And don't forget your hats for the country and for the sea, your bathing hats. Here's the front cover of one of my favourites. This is from 1911. And this is a painting. Just look at the detail that's going into that. It looks like some kind of celebration of the birth of somebody, but I'm not sure who without going into more detail. And here we have another poster advertising the last creations of the month of May for 1874. And this is for the Grand Magasin de Louvre, again in Paris. And then we have some older sort of newspapers here. Message of the Week, Journal of the World. This is a Paris edition, 6th of February 1875. Not much illustrations in here. Garibaldi and his expedition of the East. Talks about former sort of deputy of Italy, who I think is often sort of known for putting Italy on the map with their expeditions and discoveries. We do have some earlier newspapers from the very early 1830s. At a glance, I can't really tell much about these ones. They are regional to this area, the Languedoc. So over time we'll read these and find out more about what they are about. So one of the more exciting sort of piles of discoveries that were not all together, they were in between books, squished in between newspapers, absolutely covered in debris, were these documents here. I've got another huge pile somewhere as well, but these are from the late 1600s and early 1700s. I have really no idea what they are, apart from one of them is a letter. That is dated 1696. The next one is 1698. They go on. I think that also might be a letter. This is from the 1750. 1738. This is quite a hefty document. We have some further ones, 1785. There is detail of what this is on the back, but it's quite faded. I know it says Toulouse. We have these from the 4th. This is quite legible. 4th of May, 1793. So this is a name that I'm coming up with for this time, which is Delaporte. So I have a spreadsheet, a timeline of names that are coming up with different time scales. This is a letter dated 1788. And this looks like it is to Madame de la Delaporte. So a lot to work out. However, even though I'm not sure what a lot of these are, these older documents, we do have now 3 clear sort of really detailed stories that I think we're going to be able to piece together, and I'm going to show you them now. Okay, so I have this huge pile of letters here. This is all addressed to a Lily de Saint-Martin, and Lily is a member of the Saint-Martin family, and they definitely lived here from at least the 1830s, and I think this could be the family that the chateau ended with before it was sold. So ma chère Lily. Holly, my daughter Holly, has already been translating some of these. She has 2 friends called Marie, this Lily, and I know from finding Lily's school books now, there's lots of them. This is just a small selection, but Lily has a few of these school books in here. So I know from the date of the letters, I'm not sure what age Lily is, but from the way her friends write to her, she, I think, is in her teens or early 20s, the way they talk to each other. And then one of them talks about having a subscription to the Doll House magazine or something like that. So yeah, some of these letters are written to Lily when she's not at La Coutère, not here, but I know I have in her book, one of her books, the school that she went to, which is in Toulouse, which was a boarding school, and it seems that quite a few of the family members went to Toulouse at that time. So there are people writing to her from La Coutère at that time. So she has, you can see here, La Coutère samedi. So this was written on a Saturday from La Coutère. One of the first characters I found was this lady here, Mademoiselle Louise de Saint-Martin. And she is similar to Lily in the fact that she, for some of these letters, she was at boarding school in Toulouse. So I'm going to be looking at these boarding schools. But then these letters also span, the earliest that I found, I think, is 1900. The latest I found is 1920. So they are over the course of 20 years. And obviously she wasn't at school all that time. Some of the letters are actually then addressed to her at La Coutère. Some of them are addressed to her at other chateaux. So this is going to be a really, really interesting story, I think. She also has in her name, I mean, these are just, there is, I think, at least 50 letters for her, and I have another huge pile under there, including postcards as well. And this bag here is a history of all her receipts that I found with her name on it. And they tell a story in there, right? There's work done in the house, there's clothes, furniture. So again, that'll be interesting to piece together. Story I and Holly are really looking forward to getting our teeth into is this one here. It is the story of Philippe de la Touche and how he came to live here at the chateau. He was 20 years old when he was in the start of World War II, and he served for many years, from at least 1941. At the end of the war, in 1944, he was injured in Paris, and he has this medical record which shows him of being Philippe de la Touche in the French army. He was of the North Dordogne regiment, and he was hospitalised, and he was actually treated by the American army because he was working with the Americans at the time. And it shows that he fractured his leg and his femur, and this is the first thing we found for Philippe de la Touche. And we were really, really interested to see that his diagnosis was written in English. And this puzzled till we started looking further, and then actually found that this is a record of the American, I'll just find it, of the American Army medical record. Here we are. Form 52C, Medical Department, US Army. And then several letters later after the accident explain what went on here. And he must have had needed evidence for his French army bosses about how he got injured. And this is all about Mission Alexander, it was called. I, the undersigned Captain Arthurville of Team Jedburgh Alexander, certify having sent on a mission to Paris my Sergeant Something Franklin of the US Army, accompanied by the motorcycle driver Philippe de la Touche in the brigade for a liaison PC for the RAC and emissions to London. In accomplishing the mission, he was a victim of an accident where a truck basically hit him while he was turning left. So it talks about how they're linked, where he was treated near to Versailles. We then have two other letters that are slightly later date, still war related, and it is a letter to Richard, who was the American commander, but also was French. I have forgotten your language, how difficult and illogical your language is. Nevertheless, anyway, however, all the same, well, Bian, never mind. Tish comes to and then it goes on to something really important. Me and Holly were reading this and we were like, what? Tish comes to receive a cable from Caron. Here it is. Please tell Richard Thuville his wife, for his wife it's impossible to leave Africa. He must urgently come for her morale. Respectfully yours, Captain Caron. I'm going to send a telegram, but I'm going to repeat this telegram if it's not ratified. The cable was sent on the 28th of November. So it's basically telling Richard that his wife's in Africa. She's not doing very well morally. I'm not sure what that means, whether it's a state of mind. You need to come urgently. But then he goes on to tell him all his news that Tish, his wife, is pregnant. So that's quite strange. And then we have a letter further to Philippe, and where he is currently residing at that point in Berny-en-Garde, which is a couple of departments away. And this tells Philip that he is coming into some money. And this is from a relation of his, Jacques de la Touche. So I'm going to translate this, but I have a feeling that him coming into this money here enabled them to then somehow become part of La Coutère. But the story goes on. He has a wife called Amy, and Amy already has links to a chateau over the border in Gers. So I'm not sure if that's her parents' place, perhaps. But they also have a little baby called Benedict. Together we have letters, love letters back and forth from Amy and Philip when he was serving in the war. And then somehow together they end up being occupiers, and I'm not sure if it's owners, but occupiers of Château de la Coutère sometime past 1950-51. I actually have a company statement from them, I can't quite put my hand on it at the moment, that shows that they were employers in the name of the company, de la Touche and her surname, and they were paying employees at La Coutère. So they were obviously in charge. I'm not sure if they're owners of Château de la Coutère at that point, but it's very strange. Anyway, I've come across photos of them, photos of him when he was in the war, and then lots and lots of negatives of their wedding day and of their baby, Benedict. So this is going to be a really, really interesting story to uncover. Again, in the comments, find out if you want to know more about this when I piece it together. So why have I waited to do this? We have lived at the Chateau for 4 years now. I could have done this a long time ago. The truth is we've been too busy, obviously, you know that, and other things have taken priority. Also, I don't think my French was good enough to be able to look at things and know what they were without trying to translate everything through Google Translate or something like that, which with these type of documents just doesn't work. I think the catalyst to this came this week. I think I've been a little bit emotionally detached to the Chateau until very recently, and I think until perhaps last Christmas or early this year. But that emotional attachment for Julian has not taken place yet, literally until the last 2 or 3 months. And he's in England now, as you know, and he sent me a message a few days ago to say he's really looking forward to coming home, etc. And he explained to me how he, for the first time since going and visiting England, since he's lived in France, he really is looking forward to coming home, and he feels that this is home. that for me, I can't even get emotional thinking and speaking about it now, because that's massive. That really is massive. Unless your partner's when you move somewhere new, unless your partner's happy, I think you can't ever really be truly happy in a place. And Julian appears now to have crossed that border, if you like. So I'm really, this is my home. I feel like this is my home. Julian now feels like this is our home. And I think it's really time to find out, for us, to create even more of an emotional attachment and appreciate really what we have with the chateau, find out its history, and see what went on all those hundreds of years ago, even 100 years ago. Find out about the characters, about the people who lived here. Okay everyone, I'm going to leave it there because it's dark, and in about an hour I go and pick Julian up from the airport. He's coming back for about 2 weeks, might be just less than that. Then he's going back to the UK to try and sort out the death of his father. But it's been an eventful day. I hope you can see that there's some exciting things and some history I've really got to try and dig into. I've started a timeline already of some of the names of the people that I found that were at the chateau. So I'll take it from here. If you found this interesting at all in any shape, way or form, I know it's a break from the normal type of video, please hit a comment below, let me know what you thought. In the meantime, you can catch up with us on social media. You can follow us on our second YouTube channel, The Chateau Farm. And then we have social media pages for Chateau de la Coutère, Renovating the Chateau, and our private Facebook group, Life at Chateau de la Coutère. Hope to meet up with you soon.